Hello, everybody. My name's Dawn Campbell at the International Authority for Professional Coaching and Mentoring. And I'm here with the lovely Monique Daigneault, our first featured coach of the month. So we're going to dive straight in and just get to know Monique a little bit better. So Monique, hello and welcome.
Hi, Dawn.
You're very welcome to join us. And firstly, just tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you move and transition from corporate worker to an entrepreneur coach?
I was in the corporate sector for a very long time, and I made a leap of faith in 2001.
Right.
Decided to leave and start my own coaching company. Had that very successful company for about 10 years, and then I decided to make another big change because I was recruited by a Fortune 500 company in Chicago. So went back to corporate for about 4 years and decided once again that definitely was not for me. Made the switch again and reinvented myself, started another business.
Okay. So what's been your favorite moment in that journey?
Wow. The reinventing of myself and my business both times, I have to say, even though it was very scary, it really was my favorite point in my life each time because I learned so many things from that journey.
It's a great opportunity to get creative as well and learn from previous mistakes. And as you know, the IAPC&M have spent last year rebranding and reinventing itself from the old IIC&M. So I can empathize with what you're saying. It's a great opportunity to sort of wipe the slate clean and say, right, this is the new me and the more improved me as well.
Exactly, and there are so many lessons learned that I took away from both of my experiences in the corporate sector. So I use those lessons learned now to work with executives.
So how did you know, having had 2 stabs at it already, that this was your purpose, this is what you really wanted to do?
Coaching is something that comes very naturally to me. It doesn't feel like an effort. It doesn't feel like work. It's something that I look forward to every day. And I can't say that that was the same when I was working in a corporation.
It kind of reminds me of Nick Williams, who wrote the book, Do the Work You're Born to Do and You'll Never Work Another Day in Your Life, something like that.
Exactly, right.
Yeah, okay. So what has been perhaps one of the best pieces of advice that you've had on your journey that perhaps you wish you'd even known sooner so that you could reach the level of success that you've got sooner? Because everybody I've interviewed always says, I wish I did this years ago.
Yes. When I had my coaching company the first time, I tried to do it all by myself. I did not have a team of people to help me. This time around, I've done it a lot differently. I have a lot of systems in place, a lot of automation, and I have a team behind the scenes that helps me with that so that I can focus on the coaching.
Yeah. And that's something else other entrepreneurs, when I've interviewed the training providers that we've accredited, quite a few of them have said, have a leap of faith, hire somebody to do the admin so that you're free to do what you're good at.
Right. That would be my best suggestion to other coaches who are making the switch into full-time coaching is to don't go it alone. You'll burn out too fast.
Yeah. Okay. So when and what was your big break then, Monique?
Well, when I started my coaching company the first time, I struggled a lot. It took me a while. I did build it to 6 figures, but it took me a while. So this time around, I think the biggest break for me is that I already had established networks and relationships, which is very important in the coaching community. So I've had opportunities sort of find me instead of me having to do a lot of work to find the clients and find the opportunities. So I kept those relationships going.
Okay, all right. And that's something, certainly as a mentor, when I'm mentoring students who are considering giving up their job to become a full-time coach, I would say to them, perhaps do it part-time to start with, build up your database, your network, because the network is most important. I think somebody said to me, network like an Olympian, collect business cards and make friends and always follow through. That's really important for when you throw open the doors and say, hey world, I'm ready, hire me. So yeah, the second time round, from what you're saying, I think you were more prepared.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay. And what about CPD? I mean, that I know that is very important to a lot of coaches. How do you keep informed so that you stay on top of your game? Because I know that you that you coach very senior people, don't you?
Yes, yes. So I do have to stay on top of things in the corporate world as well as the coaching world, because I coach people from the corporate sector. So I have a very solid business background, and I have 7 certifications in the business sector, which is how I keep up on that angle. And then with coaching also, I belong to a lot of coaching organizations. I attend their events. I continually read and stay up on top of the latest developments. And I have a master's degree in organizational psychology. So I do a lot of learning and studying in that aspect as well.
So it sounds like you devote a lot of time to your CPD. It's very important to you.
Yes, it really is. I'm a firm believer that you have to stay on top of things if you're going to be working with people. You're dealing with their personal lives, their professional lives. You have to know what you're doing.
And yet you still find time to have a month off every year and volunteer. So obviously volunteering is a big important value for you too, paying it forward.
It is. And I learn a lot from volunteering also. I volunteer in Europe every year, and I teach English to business professionals. So I'm helping them to enhance their English skills so that they can travel and do business in the United States. So it's a learning experience for me as well as very fulfilling.
Yeah. And as well as English, are you talking about coaching and business skills, or is it just language skills?
It's language skills, but there are always other conversations that come into that whenever you're working with people. And because it's my passion, we always end up going in different directions with the English skill as the foundation.
Okay, all right. So you're obviously a very busy and extremely successful coach. You're accredited and you coach leaders of companies, and you're passionate about volunteering and CPD, and yet you find time to skydive and do other things as well.
Yes, you have to be well-rounded, and I have a lot of different hobbies and passions. So yes, I live in Arizona, so I'm always outside. I'm interested in outdoor activities, and skydiving you can do year-round.
Yeah, and being outdoors helps keep you grounded and full of gratitude for what we have, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So one of the questions I'm often asked, Monique, from trainee coaches is, well, how many hours a week am I likely to coach? How many clients a year am I likely to have? And obviously that depends on their work-life balance. But if you could explain a little bit more about what is the norm for you and the type of clients you attract, that would be useful for our listeners.
I work with senior executives, corporate executives, and I have to say that the amount of clients that you work with, that someone wants to attract, it really depends upon your lifestyle. I've chosen to have more free time now than before in the corporate world so that I can volunteer and enjoy my hobbies. So having my business fully automated saves me a lot of time. It allows me to take on more clients without having to worry about all of the back end admin. So I do work specifically with corporate clients. We have weekly sessions so that they can really move forward. The corporate clients are very interested in building momentum, moving forward very quickly. These are folks between 35 and 50 years old, and they really want to fast track their career. They want to identify their pain points, their daily pain points, and figure out solutions, get beyond them so that their teams can be producing better, and they can go after promotions, build relationships throughout the company, increase their visibility. So we have our sessions once a week, and I wouldn't be able to do that with my clients if my business were not automated, because I would be spending too much time on the back end details.
Okay, and what about social media? Is that all automated for you as well? Because that can take up that can be a really big time stealer, can't it?
Yes, it really can. So it's important to have that automated. So with my company, I have my personal LinkedIn profile, the company profile, and then we have a public Facebook page, and then a Facebook private group page for private clients. Okay. And yes, that would take way too much time for me to do on my own. So the setup and everything is handled by my team.
Okay, all right. And in the world of business coaching, what trends or difficulties are you experiencing or hearing that your clients are experiencing, Monique?
My clients are experiencing problems managing their direct reports. They're having trouble with people skills, the people skills needed to manage other people. There are problems with daily roadblocks, deadlines, unrealistic expectations. So they're having trouble prioritizing and managing their time, as well as managing their people. And these are all things that we work on within coaching, helping them to make practical changes that they can implement immediately. But also there's the deeper behavioral change that has to take place, and that's where the psychology, the organizational psychology comes into it, is helping them remove some of their own fears, their own roadblocks that they may not have even realized. And once those are eliminated, they usually are able to move forward very, very quickly.
And of course, change has to come from the top when you're working with organizations if it's going to work. And quite often, the people at the top have work-life balance issues as well as communication issues, don't they?
They do, and I had written a blog that's probably going to launch sometime this week regarding being fit for leadership, and it really goes into a leader has to take care of himself first, him or herself first, and make sure there's that work-life balance, make sure they are centered and focused within themselves first before they can even begin to lead a team or handle their daily priorities, because it's exhausting. I was in the corporate world for a very long time, and it's exhausting. So a lot of my clients come to me already burned out. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not eating properly. There's no work-life balance. They're working way too many hours. So it's a very important component when I coach someone.
And how do you protect yourself from that negative energy and make sure that you practice what you preach?
That's a really good question, because you're right. Those of us who help others sometimes end up needing the help later on. So I do have a good system in place, because I do enjoy a lot of hobbies, and I've structured my coaching now so that there's a good balance there, unlike when I was in the corporate world. But I have time for meditation. I exercise regularly. I have a very good nutrition plan. I get plenty of sleep, a lot of the basic things, but then I enjoy time with family, and I have 4 grandchildren, so that helps me feel good and stay lifted. So I have a good structure in place for myself, and that's what I help my clients put together for themselves also.
I think that's really important, because one of the issues that certainly student coaches, when they're trying to find their niche market, is being authentic. And it sounds to me like you've struck a really good balance, and people are probably drawn to you because of that authenticity.
Yes, and when I work with them, I try to focus also on helping them to be authentic, because many times in the corporate world, executives are square pegs trying to fit themselves into round holes, and they lose much of themselves when they do that. So I help them to try to align with their values, to first get in touch with their own values, and then align themselves with the values of the company, the organization, the team. But they first have to know who they are and stay authentic during that entire time that they're with that employer.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, at that level, there's actually quite a lot of fear going on as well, isn't there? That syndrome of being found out that they're not quite as good to run the company or the department as others thought they would. So huge amount of stress that your ideal client base is under.
That is true. They do suffer from what we call the imposter syndrome, where you're in this very high level position, but secretly you don't think you can do it. And you're just waiting for the day when someone finds out you can't do it. But really they can do it. It's just the psychological game that they play with themselves. So I work a lot on the imposter syndrome with many people, and men have it too. Women tend to have it more so, but men suffer with it too and struggle with it.
So what would be your advice, Monique, when people, younger coaches in terms of experience, are looking up to somebody who's more experienced like yourself and starting out and thinking, yes, that's what I aspire to? What would be some of your advice when the going gets tough? Because we all know it does at times.
Yes, I definitely think they need a coach. We all need our own coaches to keep us going.
Glad you said
so that would be, yes, that would be my main piece of advice. And that's not something that I did the first time around. It took me a little while the first time around to work with a coach. And then once I started to, I realized we sometimes think, well, we're a coach, so why would we need a coach? But you definitely have to have that other perspective when you're building your business. And it helps keep you sane, like you said, when the going gets tough. So definitely a coach would be the main piece of advice. And then making sure they have systems in place so that they're not doing it all on their own.
I mean, what I'm really hearing is that they need to continue investing in themselves. It's not just investing in their training, but it's a lifelong investment with their CPD, their systems, the automation, having a coach or a supervisor or a mentor to support them, and having that confidence and belief in themselves that they can make that money coaching if they just deal with those other things and outsource those things to other professionals.
Right. And there are so many resources available now. There's the coaching organization that we belong to. There's coaches, there's teams of people to help with the automation. So there really are a lot of resources, and they have to invest in themselves, and they have to be able to invest even a small amount of money in the business right up front, and then they will find that it will pay off down the line as they start taking on more and more clients.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Well, we're going to have to wrap up soon, so I want to ask you a few more questions. So, dead or alive, whose brains would you most like to pick and why?
Well, I would have to say my mother. My mother, Monique Daigneault. She passed away when I was very young, so I didn't get to know her. I didn't have a lot of time with her, but I know that she was a very wise woman. So I would like to pick her brain and take away with me all the wisdom that she had.
Oh, that is lovely. Yeah, good one. And if you were on a desert island, what would be the book, the piece of music, and the luxury item that you would take with you, Monique?
I would take my journal and a pen.
Yeah. So you're a fellow scribbler.
Yes. I journal constantly, and it has really helped me. It's one of the things I use for self-care. So it helps me to become centered and stay very focused.
Okay. And piece of music?
Oh, it would have to be something by Beethoven, something just light and relaxing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Lovely. So where can people find you if they want to work with you, hire you, and get your support? What would be the best way of finding you, Monique?
My email address is monique@executiveinfluence.coach. My website, which is just launching after some revamping, is also www.executiveinfluence.coach. So those would be the two best ways. We do have a very new coaching and training program that's launching June 1st. So I've got a couple spots left open for it. The program is a combination of training and coaching and group coaching. So it's a very unique model that we're launching with the new website. So if they contact me, we can see if there's an interest, if they would like to work with me. If it works well, I can enroll them in the program.
Fantastic. So being the May featured coach of the month is so opportune then, isn't it? With you having an offering starting in June. Fantastic. Of course, I will put a blog and a photograph and a link to your website with the recording when we promote it. But thank you very much for your time. It's been lovely meeting you. I look forward to networking you with again in the future.
Thank you very much, Donna. It was my pleasure. Have a great week.
Thank you, Monique. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.